Welcome to QueerStory, the podcast where we explore the lives of revolutionary queer figures who reshaped culture, history, and the way we see the world. I'm your host, Lily, and today we're diving into the life of one of the most iconic artists of all time, David Bowie. From his groundbreaking music to his fearless approach to gender and sexuality, Bowie wasn't just a rock star. He was a cultural force, a chameleon, provocateur, and artist who used his identity as a canvas for transformation. Across today's episode, we'll dive into Bowie's life, his artistic evolution, and how he became a queer icon. David Bowie was born David Robert Jones on January 8, 1947, in Brixton, London. Growing up in a working-class family, Bowie lived in a post-war environment of rationing and rebuilding. But his imagination extended far beyond the practical world around him. As a young boy, Bowie fell in love with music and performance. Artists like Elvis Presley, Little Richard, and Chuck Berry shaped his early vision. Bowie later said that seeing Little Richard perform was like hearing God. By his teenage years, Bowie was already experimenting with art and music. He took up the saxophone, studied mime, and embraced visual arts, laying the foundation for his boundary-pushing career. In 1966, Bowie made his first reinvention. David Jones became David Bowie, named after the Bowie knife. He needed a distinct identity to stand out and avoid confusion with Davy Jones of the Monkees. This reinvention wasn't just cosmetic. It signaled his desire to break free from convention. By 1969, Bowie had his first major breakthrough with Space Oddity. Released days before the Apollo 11 moon landing, the song told the story of Major Tom, a lost astronaut. Space Oddity captured themes of isolation and exploration, which would become hallmarks of Bowie's work. It also marked the beginning of his artistic transformation. But his boldest move was yet to come. The rise of Ziggy Stardust. In 1972, Bowie unleashed the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Ziggy Stardust wasn't just an album. It was a persona. Bowie became Ziggy, an androgynous alien rock star sent to save humanity during the apocalypse. Ziggy's brightly colored jumpsuits, platform boots, and fiery red hair shattered gender norms. Bowie's live performances as Ziggy were theatrical, provocative, and unapologetically queer. Fans were mesmerized and critics were baffled. Bowie's persona challenged ideas of masculinity and sexuality. In an era when queerness was heavily stigmatized, Bowie declared his bisexuality in a 1972 Melody Maker interview. For LGBTQ+ fans, this was monumental. Bowie became a symbol of defiance, liberation, and self-expression. But Ziggy wasn't just a character. It was a revolution. Bowie blurred the lines between reality and performance, inspiring countless fans to embrace their own identities. Bowie didn't stop with Ziggy. After retiring the persona in 1973, he introduced Aladdin Sane, often described as Ziggy Goes to America. Throughout the 1970s, Bowie reinvented himself again and again. From the dystopian glam of Diamond Dogs to the soul-infused sound of Young Americans, Bowie pushed boundaries in music, fashion, and performance. In 1980, Bowie released Scary Monsters and Super Creeps, another evolution in his artistry. Songs like Ashes to Ashes revisited Major Tom, but with a darker, introspective twist. The album showed Bowie grappling with fame, identity, and addiction. The 1980s brought another transformation. Albums like Let's Dance brought Bowie mainstream success, but his queer influence remained undeniable. Music videos like Boys Keep Swinging and Ashes to Ashes were filled with subversive imagery, challenging gender norms and traditional ideas of masculinity. At the same time, Bowie faced criticism. As the AIDS crisis devastated the LGBTQ+ community, Bowie's queerness came under scrutiny. Some accused him of retreating from his earlier bisexuality. Bowie later referred to his bisexuality as a phase, sparking debate among fans. Was Bowie's queerness performative? Or was he simply evolving? The answer lies in his refusal to be boxed in. Bowie's identity was always fluid, defying labels and categories. Bowie's personal life reflected his complex identity. He had relationships with both men and women, though his marriages to women, including his longtime partner, Iman, received the most attention. His first wife, Angie Bowie, was instrumental in shaping his early aesthetic. Angie encouraged Bowie's androgyny and boldness, though their marriage was far from conventional. While Bowie's relationships with men were less publicized, they were equally significant. His openness about bisexuality in the 1970s paved the way for future generations of queer artists. David Bowie's influence on music, fashion, and queer culture is immeasurable. He wasn't just an artist. He was a pioneer who redefined self-expression. Artists like Lady Gaga, Janelle Monáe, and Harry Styles have all cited Bowie as a major influence. His ability to blend masculinity and femininity, challenge norms, and embrace transformation set the stage for a new era of queer visibility in mainstream media. David Bowie likely struggled with accepting himself during a time when societal norms were rigid and the cultural climate was not fully welcoming to those who challenged traditional boundaries of identity and sexuality. The 1970s, while a period of artistic and sexual liberation for some, still carried significant stigma and misunderstanding around queer identities. Bowie's exploration of his androgyny and bisexuality was groundbreaking, but it also placed him under intense scrutiny from both the media and society, where acceptance was far from universal. He may have grappled with reconciling his private feelings with the public personas he created, as well as navigating the fine line between authenticity and performance. Additionally, the pressure to remain marketable in an industry heavily influenced by heteronormative expectations could have compounded his internal conflict, making it difficult to fully embrace and express his true self without fear of backlash or misrepresentation. When Bowie passed away on January 10, 2016, just 2 days after releasing Black Star, the world mourned the loss of a legend. Black Star was Bowie's farewell to his fans, a haunting exploration of mortality, identity, and legacy. It was the final chapter in a life defined by reinvention and fearless authenticity. Aladdin Sane was chaotic and darker than Ziggy, with themes of madness and alienation. The lightning bolt makeup on the album cover became one of Bowie's most iconic visuals, symbolizing transformation and inner conflict. David Bowie taught us that identity isn't something we're born with. It's something we create. He showed us that being different isn't just okay. It's extraordinary. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Bowie's life and legacy. This has been Queer Story. I'm Vanessa, and I'll see you next time with another story of a revolutionary queer figure.